Even Hare Rama For the house to back to the back, so to the divine grace, ReadingBhaktiVriksha05152015 Part1 Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Astottara Satyashimad's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki Ananda Bodhi Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki ISKCON founder Acharya Sri Prabhupada ki Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mathura Dham ki Navadvip Dham ki Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jagannath Swami ki Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Tulsi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Samavira Bhaktivinoda ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord's feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to the Father.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Nabihari Janna Bhava Vidadhari Ashura Nandana Vajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Vaishnava Thakur ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande.
We are also celebrating anniversary of Gaunitai of Manoj Prabhu and Ananta Didi today. So we will do the Abhishekam after the class.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah.
We forgot to do it during the art. Available?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There are so few of us here, I wonder if we need the microphone.
I know, today everybody is responding.
Everybody probably can hear without a
I
microphone,
know.
right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So you do without a microphone?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can come a little faster. Putting now.
If they want to.
I think I want to use the wall, everybody.
Yeah, just rest your back. You're getting old every second. Srinam Amrita, the nectar of the holy name. This is week 56.
Yes.
And throughout this, there will be the focus on 3 types of devotees. First class, second class, third class devotees.
The important thing is they are all devotees. It's just a certain level of consciousness, and that distinguishes first from second from third. So we can all aspire to be first-class devotees. That's the idea. Srinamamrita, nectar of the holy name, by associating with pure devotees engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one's heart is purified and one develops love, pure love for Krishna. So two things: association with pure devotees who are engaged in the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One's heart is purified and one develops pure love for Krishna. So I just remembered one thing that I have to do first. Om Gyanati Viranyasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Takshu Amritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahayam Dadanti Swaha Padatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusite Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Suniva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Patracha Desacharine Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gora Suze Namaha Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himavya Divyacharya Sundaraya Tasmaya Mahaprema Rasa Padaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So, by associating with pure devotees engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one's heart is purified and one develops love, pure love for Krishna. So, when we associate with pure devotees engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, see, the pure devotees' business is about Krishna all the time. So associating with pure devotees who chant the Hare Krishna mantra, the mantra coming from the lips of a pure devotee purifies the atmosphere. So even if we are impure, we are swept up in the purification of the atmosphere from the chanting of from the lips of the pure devotee. This is why when in japa time, everywhere in the temples in ISKCON, we have Srila Prabhupada's japa also going on. Because when he chants, we hear the mantra from the pure devotee. And it helps purify the atmosphere, and if we purify it in our hearts, we may not feel it immediately, but of course there's some, you feel a level of peace that's there. But purification also there, because as Lokanath Swami likes to say, the mantra does its work. He just chants and it just purifies. Okay. And when one purifies, it's purified, then pure love of Krishna is developed. Now, in the Sri Shastaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Krishna has invested all his transcendental energies in his holy name. All the energies, we may not understand. There's so many things that Krishna is so far above us. And what he does is difficult for us to understand, but if our faith is strong, then the proof comes, even at the level that we are. So Krishna has invested all his transcendental energies in his holy name. Therefore, if we chant the holy name, and the second point is Krishna himself is absolute. So the holy name is Krishna. So when we chant Krishna, then we connect with Krishna. And therefore we connect with all of his transcendental energies. Now the effect that it may have on us depends on our level of purity. That's always there. Okay? It's like the sunshine. The sun gives equal rays of sunshine. And depending on how we want to receive the sunshine, we may receive the full effect of the sunshine, or we may be in a room and we know there's still sunshine, but we don't feel the effect as much. So it all depends on where our consciousness is, what we want to do. But the Lord is equal to all and puts out his love through the holy name, this in Kali Yuga, that is the way in which, the yagya, the way in which we sacrifice the Supreme Personality of God that is chanting his holy name. So back to this spiritual edification, Vaishnava behavior in different relationships. There was a book written by His Holiness Satsarup Das Goswami. He's a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he's written quite a few books. And he wrote on the 26 qualities of a devotee. I remember at the times when, in the 90s, when we heard about Krishna consciousness, he came, you come to Bhakti Swami's camp, they give you this book. You have to read it. You know, and the qualities of devotee. It's also in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, which is Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. That's the title. And text 8 to 12, so 5 texts put together, also talk about this. It's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's brought up again, so it's quite important. Of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the one who's describing this. So back to this, Vaishnava scholars have analyzed that there are different categories of devotees and different attitudes of general behavior to be followed in devotional interactions. Okay. So one should mentally honor any devotee who chants the holy names of the Lord, regardless of what category that the devotee is. If they chant the holy name of the Lord, they are honorable. Most people in the world are not chanting the holy name of the Lord. But one who chants the holy name of the Lord. So Rupa Goswami is saying that in Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita is Nectar of Instruction. And Rupa Goswami goes on to describe in brief Kanishta Adhikari, or the beginning devotee. The Kanishta Adhikari has disqualifications of not properly respecting advanced devotees and not perceiving Lord Krishna within the hearts of all living beings. So it sounds like a strike against Kanishta Adhikari right away. It has disqualifications of not properly respecting advanced devotees and not perceiving Lord Krishna within the hearts of living beings. But see, one doesn't have to stay Kanishta too long though. These are things that can be overcome. What does he do? Mostly he recognizes Krishna's presence only in the deity within the temple. Yet, the Kanishta Adhikari is far greater than all the non-devotees who are either classified either as karmis, gross materialists, or as yogis and jnanis, impersonal transcendentalists. The reason is he's a devotee, and because he's a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Kanishta Adhikari is also sometimes called a materialistic devotee because he has a tendency to be interested in material benefits. So, a Kanishta Adhikari is far better than all non-devotees, because if he is a devotee, he's chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's what devotees do. And the person that's chanting the holy name of the Lord, we've already been told, whatever class we are in, we should at least mentally honor that devotee. So, Kanishta devotee, and that applies to everyone's situation, in that the Kanishta Adhikari has room for improvement spiritually. But then everybody will tell you, even the pure devotees, they will say they have room for improvement. Because Krishna is so unlimited that the more you find out about Krishna, the more you realize how little you know about Krishna. And so many devotees will say, I'm Kanishta, in the sense that there's so much to know. So, even though we come to Madhyam and Uttama, there will be different descriptions. Those are the other two. So, the Kanishta Adhikari does not perceive Lord Krishna within the hearts of all living beings. Therefore, they tend to categorize. This being is important, that being is not important. But Lord Ram made a big lesson, or gave a big lesson, in a few words, to Hanuman. Because in Ram Leela, when it became necessary to perform the great magic, the pastime of Lord, by having these big boulders, big stones, put in the ocean, and then they floated in the ocean so that the army of monkeys and the Lord Ram could cross and go to Lanka. Hanuman was doing a great part of the work, because he was very strong. But then there was this little tiny insect. He was also trying to kick some dust. Hanuman said, get out of my way. What are you going to do with these little things you're kicking? But then Lord Ram corrected him and says, as long as he's also performing service with devotion, it counts just in the transcendental system, it counts just as importantly as what you're doing with the big boulders. Therefore, the Kanishta Adhikari is just as important as even the highest one. Why? The Kanishta Adhikari chants Hare Krishna, the Uttama, first class chants Hare Krishna. It's the same mantra. It's the same mantra. A few things need to be done in the case of Kanishta Adhikari. Not properly respecting advanced devotees, so Hanuman wasn't behaving properly. That's why, even though he's not Kanishta, so he can affect anybody. And not perceiving Lord Krishna within the hearts of all living beings. If we remember the Lord being in the heart of all living beings, we'll be careful even how we deal with insects. The Prabhupada says, if you understand Krishna, you wouldn't harm an ant. He was telling scientists, big scientists about that. So, then the Kanishta Adhikari is also called a materialistic devotee because he has a tendency to be interested in material benefits. Now let's talk a little bit about that. Are material benefits bad? The answer is no. They're not bad in of themselves. It's a consciousness that comes with material gain that has to be looked at. A devotee's consciousness should be, and let's just say since we're all in Grihastha, let's talk about Grihastha. A devotee who's a Grihastha obviously needs to make money in order to take care of the family. Okay? That's everybody's duty when you're Grihastha. You also have to have money put aside for emergencies. This is Rupa Goswami saying that, not me. This is Rupa Goswami actually says that. He even goes into percentages of money to be put aside for different things. So money, when that's taken care of, emergency money there, and the money to keep the families well cared for, the rest must be used in Krishna conscious activities. If you do that, then you're not in the category of being interested in material benefits. So some people just make money so that everybody can say, well, you own this, you own this, you own this, you own this, you're very rich. They like the idea of being given the title or being looked up as a wealthy person. But wealth is to be used once family is taken care of properly, once money is set aside for emergency, it is to be used in fact for projects in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's a waste. The money really doesn't belong to us, it belongs to Krishna. Everything is Krishna's. So if we use money that way, then of course, after we leave this body, then what comes is even better. The real wealth is in the spiritual world, not here. There's not much here at all, but people just compare relatively, this one is so, this one is so, but you should see the touchstone that on the walls, decoration on the wall. That's how wealthy the spiritual world is. So here, I mean, it is in the spiritual world. So here, money isn't something we should be attached to, because if we attach to it for material benefits, then we are in Maya. And it keeps us moving forward. So yes, we need to take good care of our families. We need to have money aside for emergencies. As a matter of fact, it says, and I'll tell you the percentages now, most devotees try to strive to that. A quarter of what's made for taking care of family, a quarter put aside for emergencies, and half for Krishna conscious projects. So sometimes people smile when they hear this. My paycheck doesn't quite allow me to do that. Okay, well, but you should know though that it's there. Something that you have to strive to get to. And we can come back to talking about money a little later, because there's quite a bit to talk about here. So desire for material benefits. It should be, if you have desire for material benefits, then it should be simultaneously accompanied with thoughts and plans to use the benefit in Krishna consciousness. Those material benefits in Krishna consciousness, in serving Krishna. Okay. So coming back to this, therefore a devotee must strive to make progress to come to the second-class position, the Madhyam Adhikari. So the Kanishta Adhikari doesn't give the proper respect to advanced devotees, doesn't see the Lord in the heart of all living entities, and thinks that the Lord is the deity in the temple, and that's why he gives the respect to Krishna and nowhere else. So what's the Madhyam? The Kanishta Adhikari we talked about is usually referred to as a third class devotee. Madhyam Adhikari is second class. So the Madhyam Adhikari, according to this, writes Srila Prabhupada, he's received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master, he received Diksha, and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental service of the Lord. So there's an implication here with the Madhyam Adhikari. One who has received Diksha, spiritual initiation from a spiritual master, and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental service of the Lord. It means after receiving initiation, the disciple must ask the spiritual master what to do in his service. Once you get initiated, by the Lord's mercy, one will get Guru. And after the initiation, the Guru is the one that guides, but every Guru has a mission, something that they're interested in doing. So once one becomes a disciple, they should ask spiritual master, what is it that you would like me to do? And embark on that project. And report to him every so often. And, to check your progress and tell you other things to do. The thing is, to be engaged in service given by the spiritual master is a very, very easy way to grow in Krishna consciousness. So my spiritual master, Bhakti Swami, used to say, nobody should be without some project they are involved in. Apart from regular service, you have to be involved in some project. If not, then your mind moves around too much, Maya takes over too much. So he was really pushing for that. He says everybody has to be involved in some. And if you didn't know what, you go talk to him, he'll tell you what to do. So every spiritual master is like that. But you have to ask though, devotees should remember to do that. So you're not even initiated yet. So can you embark on a project? The answer is yes. Who is the spiritual master? You ask Srila Prabhupada. Ask him. He will tell you. Go to his murti, go to his picture, offer obeisance and ask him. Yeah, you'll be surprised how much you can get. The picture has the same potency as the spiritual master in person. So you can do that. All right, so back to Srila Prabhupada also describes the highest stage or Uttama Adhikari. Out of many such Vaishnavas, devotees, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna conscious movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as the Uttama, or the first class Adhikari, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should always be sought. So there are devotees in various stages. Some really what happens is most devotees now have bits of all of the three. This is what's going on now. Because they are in the process of purification. Okay? The highest is engage in service of the Lord, strictly following all the regulated principles. Okay? And chanting regulated principles, I know we talk about 4 regulated principles, but the 9 ways of serving also are part of regulated principles. The chanting, you see, because of 4 regulated principles, it doesn't say chant. It just says no illicit sex, no gambling, right? So the other part of it is also the hearing, the chanting, the offering of obeisance, the worshiping of the deity, and so on, like that. So that's all part of it. So this person is doing it, a combination of this and all the 4 regulated principles. Don't do once he also obeying those. Chanting, which is the Prabhupada said, 16 rounds are the minimum number of rounds. And always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. So how do we think of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement? Seems like it's over our head. Not at all. Not at all. It very much ties in with asking Srila Prabhupada what he wants. Because Srila Prabhupada, whatever he asks you to do, it will in fact be a section of the expansion of the movement. That's his movement. Actually, it belongs to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he is the point person basically, because he named him and so on. But he's doing it for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, yeah, ask. You're not initiated, then ask the Prabhupada. And whatever he tells you to do will in fact help either maintain or expand the movement. So a person who's an Uttamadhikari, the association of him must be sought. Now, the person who is talking about Krishna, who when you relate to him in conversation, even about material things, you always find a way to bring an angle of Krishna into it, is always thinking about Krishna. And such a person, even if you don't know whatever category he's in, the association is good because you're going to hear about Krishna a lot. Yeah. So you don't go around, well, who is first class and who is second class? No. You just basically associate with the person who brings in Krishna consciousness conversation, and of course is also serving and taking the chanting very seriously. Most of the time you wouldn't know whether the person is doing all 4 regulated principles or not because they won't tell you. Not a thing that is normally discussed, right? You may see some of it by how they act. You may not see some of how they act. But Krishna always guides us to the person that we need to associate with in order to grow. That guidance is always there. When you hear, it's also important, when you hear, you're associating with the speaker. Especially if you hear from Guru, you definitely associate with Guru. If you hear from Srila Prabhupada, you are associated with Srila Prabhupada, who is a pure devotee. So, people like me, we just pray to our spiritual master to use us to preach. Okay, I'm not qualified, but because of him, and I pray intensely to him, then we can speak like that, basically being used to speak. Okay, so to come back to this, Rupa Goswami explains that one should mentally honor the beginner or materialistic devotee, one should offer humble obeisances to the Madhyam devotee, and associate with and faithfully serve the pure devotee who is Uttama, who is advanced in undeviating devotional service, and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. To me, we've talked about this before. Completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. We talked about not getting angry, okay, not finding fault, and there was a third one, right? I think, yeah, not getting angry, and it escapes my mind myself.
Not to be jealous of.
Yeah, not the envy. Yeah, not the envy. There's actually 6 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, and envy. Yeah, so that's what's in this Shastra. Completely devoid. So the automatically is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Actually, they're not only devoid of the propensity to criticize others, but if you criticize others around them, they will stop you. They will literally stop you. Or they will react to you in a certain way. They may either leave you, walk away from you, or if, especially the spiritual master, because they guide, so they will tell you, don't do that. Or if maybe that's not the direct disciple of that spiritual master, the spiritual master may use it an indirect way and say, well, I don't do that. I'm not comfortable around speaking. If they speak about devotees, they speak positively about devotees. But they guide disciples. So the guide disciples, they sometimes point out the things the disciples are doing wrong, because the idea is, they're not criticizing, the idea is they're teaching. Just like you have children. You're not criticizing the children when you tell them they've done something wrong. And then you guide them on what to do. The spiritual master doesn't say, you've done it wrong and leave it. No, he'll tell you the right thing to do. And the idea is to teach you to stay away from the wrong thing spiritually and do the right thing spiritually. Okay, so what does criticism do? It weakens the quality of devotion. This is why it's that bad. It weakens the quality of devotion. Anytime a devotee is criticized, then whoever is doing the criticism, Krishna is already angry with him. It's that bad. And I know I've been in situations where I started thinking negatively, not even talking, thinking negatively, and I got a reaction. I got a reaction. And so many reactions in different ways. And that's the reaction just to remind you you're not supposed to be doing that. Even mentally, sometimes it can happen. So the Lord is in the heart. It's that close. It's in the heart. They're always monitoring what we do. So what Maya does, somebody that's criticizing, he hops on the critical mind, and he tries hard to convince the person who's critic that he's right. Yes, this person is like this person is like yes. Maya will just encourage you to go on. But when the devotee takes to that, then the devotee is dangerously approaching aparad, offense to the devotee, offense to the person that is criticizing. It's a very thin line between criticism and practically no line between criticism and aparad. So you have to be really, really, really careful. Okay, so to come back to this, although all devotees should receive our honor, there are clear guidelines for dealing with different classes of devotees. Every devotee will find himself in a situation where some devotees are more advanced than he, some are his peers, and some are newcomers or less advanced. According to Vaishnava behavior, one should inquire from and render service to the more advanced devotees. One should make loving friendships with equal devotees, and one should give merciful guidance to those who are more neophyte than oneself. And we'll add one more. You have to be careful in all the three situations. Because Lord Chaitanya also came as Nimai, nobody knew he was God, and he was just doing grammar and all of those things which were not Krishna conscious at all. So sometimes a so-called new person may have come into a particular place where you are for the first time, but they're not new at all. They may be more advanced, and they may be wearing non-devotee clothes and you don't know. So the one thing that always should be the underlying way we behave is we respect everybody. Okay, you respect everybody, you're safe. Now, when the person starts speaking, then you will get to know. And the actions and so on, you'll get to know. You'll get to know whether they're actually totally beginners or not. And if they are beginners, you can also tell. There are a lot of things that they don't know. They'll be asking a lot of questions and so on. Advanced devotees don't do that because they already know a lot. So even though you may not know them, but how they act, you can tell whether they know or not. And therefore, you can tell whether they knew or not. And therefore, offer help or begin to learn, who comes. So you have to be careful, always because of respect. I remember my wife and I were in New York Temple. This is still a short story. New York Temple, and at that time, this is Brooklyn. The building was quite big, so we were going up to the 5th floor. And then we come in, and this tall, very imposing guy was coming down the steps and wearing saffron. And my wife and I immediately offered obeisance to him, and he started laughing and said, "I'm not a sannyasi, I'm just a brahmachari." But he looked really quite, looked like an honorable person. We just sized him up and said, "We're better off for obeisances." Okay, so you just have to be careful at each time, because it wasn't wrong to do that. If he was sannyasi, it would have been right. But he just thought it was funny that we thought that it was most ISKCON boys, they will offer obeisance to sannyasi, and we knew he was wearing saffron. And he read our minds. We knew that we thought that he was a sannyasi. Anyway, one of those things. All right. So to come to this, whenever a devotee gets an opportunity to hear from or serve an advanced Vaishnava, he should remember the Shastric injunction and go forward with great eagerness to honor the devotee. If there is an imbalance between two disciples, a devotee should not be envious. Srila Prabhupada writes, if a god brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such god brothers advance in Krishna consciousness. Very important. Sometimes you run around devotees, and some people they know more Shastra, they can advise more, and so on. And you may feel you're on the equal level to maybe you just got initiated the same year, same time as the same spiritual master. So usually they call themselves equal. But then the person is more advanced in terms of their understanding of Krishna consciousness, the way they're able to explain it and live it and so on. All of this, the saying is, we should not be envious of a person who's like that. Okay? So we should accept, and I have god brothers who are like that, and the spiritual master helped us to understand who they were, because there's one person, now in Girinagari, I know we don't, normally when we're preaching, we sit on a cushion on the floor, okay? And so I was doing that when my leg was okay, and then that leg got bad, now I can't really sit properly. But there was also the Vyasa-san, and when sannyasis come, they sit on that. So this person is my god brother, and our spiritual master was there at the time, and asked him to give class. Now, the spiritual master sits on the Vyasa-san, devotees, disciples of his, they don't. We sit on the floor. Okay, there's maybe something cushioning on the floor. But he allowed that particular disciple, who was a god brother of mine, to sit on the Vyasa-san, and he was listening to him preach. So that gives you a message immediately. And we knew the guy's quality. He was a great guy. Yeah. And he preached. And so he would do, sometimes spiritual masters do little things to make you see who is advanced and who is not. Yeah. So that particular, he's coming at the end of June, he's going to be coming here. He gets a lot of engagements now to preach in Canada. He lives in Britain, London. He preaches in different places. His name is Bhuta Bhavana. We all love him. He's a very close friend of mine. So he'll be coming at the end of June, Girinagari. But yeah, when my spiritual master did that, then I realized this guy is not, it's not small time when the Guru actually will allow him, with him being there to sit on the Vyasa-san. Anyway, so Bhagavatam 3:32-42. I know it's not written here, but I'll just write I have the translation, so I'll read that. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken, it's not in the book, have taken to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. So really the reason I put this there to read to you was because of the nature of those kind of person. The person takes Krishna to be more dear than anything. They're not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, consciously, outside as well as inside. They develop detachment, they stayed away from anything that's outside Krishna consciousness. That is also the first class type of devotee. But Srila Prabhupada did, and I know this is another place, he defined first class disciple very simply. Says a person that in fact tends a prescribed number of rounds, obeys 4 regulated principles, and is thinking about how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. That is first class. Okay. So I actually heard about this before I even saw this, and so many things. There's a purport here, and it's very long, but I think I'll hold off on that, and we'll come to that later on as time permits. So back to this, but how one may well, but now, not how, but now, that will fit the English. But now one may well ask, do we know who is an advanced devotee? Yeah. Does every god brother of the spiritual master really deserve to be accepted as almost equal to one's guru? And this is said we should do that. Is every sannyasi or senior devotee considered advanced? Well, if a senior devotee's or sannyasi's behavior does not correspond with the symptoms of proper Vaishnava behavior, then one has to judge for oneself. So really, it's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. Is the person Krishna conscious, or is he chanting his rounds? Okay. Is he obeying regulated principles from what you've seen? Okay. And especially when he talks, does he bring Krishna into his conversation? Then you know. But even if one does not see symptoms of advancement, he should continue to observe the etiquette befitting senior devotees and sannyasis. See, because if we don't do that, the chances of being an aparati, being offensive, becomes high then. That's what's necessary to do. This manner of behavior was demonstrated by Lord Chaitanya, who continued to honor a senior sannyasi, Ramachandra Puri, even though Ramachandra Puri behaved offensively in many ways. When individual cases become extremely subtle, one should consult respectable devotees for guidance on how to behave. Okay, so now Ramachandra Puri has been mentioned. Ramachandra Puri criticized Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya was supposed to be a god nephew. Okay, so he was one of godbrother of Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master, as far as I remember. And he was actually envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was envious of Lord Chaitanya. So he said all kinds of things to him. As a matter of fact, he set him up. You know what I mean, American, when somebody gets set up to do something and then later on they turn around and criticize you for doing that? That's what I'm trying to put into the Lord Chaitanya. Fed him so much prashadam, and then he told him, yes, sannyasi, you eat so much. You're not supposed to eat too little or too much, and you've eaten too much. But then he was the one that fed the Lord. What did the Lord do? All right, well then I won't eat that much then. And after that, he started eating little. He also criticized the Lord that he came to the Lord's room and he saw some ants, ant trail, like a line of ants. He says, well, if ants come here, that's an indication that there are sweets here. So you're supposed to be renounced, but you be eating sweets, and the ants are proof that you eat sweets. He did all kinds of things to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya accepted honorably. When Lord Chaitanya come back on eating, he said, well, now you eat too little. Ramachandra Puri was in trouble. Trouble with Lord Chaitanya. Anyway, he got his due, if you know what I mean. But he was behaving offensively. But then he was above him in terms of the parampara. So Lord Chaitanya did not get back at him, confront him, even though it was obvious that what he was doing was wrong. Now, in this sentence here, when individual cases become extremely subtle, in other words, it gets to a point where you don't quite know what to do, especially if somebody envies you and they say all kinds of negative things. We really just talked about Lord Chaitanya and Ramachandra Puri, but it does happen from one devotee to another, especially when the devotee thinks that he's been in this movement a long time, and someone comes and they knew, but they are endowed with so many abilities, So then they have leadership qualities and so on, and then somebody that's been there a long time looks at them and says, but why is it that this new person is getting this service and this service based on what they can do? And they begin to envy. I've seen it happen. I've seen that happen. It's sad, but then it misses envy. People get envious. So what to do? Situations like that, you can, as I said, once you consult respectable devotees on guidance on how to behave. When you see any guru and you have that situation, tell them about it and get advice from that guru on what to do. Some gurus may tell you a little, some gurus may tell you a lot. But if you're not that situation, if you fall in that situation, somebody actually is giving you trouble, so much trouble, ask them what to do. It happened to me. I had to write to Rupa Swami, what should I do? And the person says, do nothing. And he was right. That's why I'm adding, he was right. It was better not to do anything. So my wife reacted to it and she got sick. Yeah, Bella's had heart problems. I'm not kidding. There's something happened to both of us. And I remembered my spiritual master saying that you have to go to somebody who's respectable, just like it says here, to find out what happened. I mean, to find out, to ask what to do. And so I did. Even though it seemed like Rupa Swami himself knew a lot of what was going on, and many people would have thought about him materially and said, no, I shouldn't go to him, because he knows too much already. But I just thought, he's guru. Whatever it is, I'm not going to judge. He's guru, and Krishna speaks through guru. So then I wrote to him and said, Maharaj, I don't need to tell you much. You know what's going on. What should I do? He says, for now, don't do anything. And that's what saved me. Because my wife pushed, trying to convince them about her point, and she was right. But the more she convinced, the worse it got. And that's how she just finally gave up. When she gave up, she almost practically sick. She's better now. But, so we both learned from it. So you need to listen to Guru me. You consult respectable devotee. It's actually quite critical for guidance on how to behave. Because it will come up. Krishna sets up tests for everybody. So, in other words, I was just telling you, I didn't tell you the details of a test, but it was a test that I went through. And fortunately, my health is a lot better because I just followed what Guru said to do at the time. Don't do anything means that Krishna will take care of whatever steps that will happen. And he knew, and he said, in this case, just don't touch it, let's see what happens. With whom are we equal in devotional service? A humble devotee tends to think that he is less than others, and he will hesitate to consider with whom he is spiritually equal. See, this is a critical thing, and I know we've been told that you can have, people you respect, and people who are at the peer level, and people you can give guidance to, but now he's saying, a humble devotee, Krishna says in the qualities of a devotee, first thing, amanitva, humility, first thing he brings up. A humble devotee tends to think that he is less than others, and he will hesitate to consider with whom he is spiritually equal. The power of thinking that you're less than others spiritually means you're ready to hear whatever comes. And Krishna speaks to everybody. Ultimately, Krishna speaks to everybody, because the Lord is in our heart. So we can hear the person who speaks from Krishna consciousness. We can hear from everybody. Now, immature devotees, however, may make too many social distinctions. And the important word here is social. He's like this, at this status, therefore I think he's high. And I am at a better status than this person, therefore this person is low. And as soon as you say this person is low, the Maya jumps on it. Yes, you can disrespect him, you can hit him, this, next thing you know, you're a big apparatus. So, they make too many social distinctions, as if a grihastha could never be spiritually equal to a sannyasi, or as if a devotee of 12 years standing could not be equal to a devotee of 16 years standing. I'll tell you a story about this. I was 7 years in Krishna consciousness, and my spiritual master sent my wife and myself to Alachua, Florida, the temple over there. they needed somebody to run the boys' school. And so I went. And part of the lessons, we talk about applied Krishna consciousness. These boys, the Gurukula boys, they know a lot of text, they know a lot of songs, and I was, I consider myself fairly new at 7 years, because these were kids of Papa disciples. And Papa disciples at that time were 30 to 35 years in the movement. Okay, at least 25 years, some were 30, so on and so on, the movement. So I was describing things, because I was a teacher. I was describing different situations and bringing in the 10 offenses and so on. So people think, Vaishnavas are better than others and so on. And I said, well, the fourth offense is blaspheme Vedic literature and literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. When literature in pursuance of the Vedic version is the Bible and the Holy Quran and all of those are in that category. So you don't put those down. Because it's about God. It may not be transcendental, but it's still about God. You don't put those down. So, whatever we discussed, I had answers for them. And then all of a sudden it came up and says, one boy said, well, how long have you been in Christian consciousness? I said, 7 years. They go, what? Only 7 years, they're saying? Yeah, because they're comparing to their parents. Their parents have been 25 years or more, and I look the same age as their parents. I said, well, I was unfortunate. I was in material energy too long, but it doesn't take 30 years to get to know these things if you're really interested. It doesn't. Okay, yeah, so they were surprised. They were surprised. So I was speaking like somebody who's been in 30 years. I said, no. But that's, we talked about 13, 14-year-old boys. So there's a way of thinking, yeah. But they were surprised because they only know around them their parents who are more than 20 years, 30 years. They can speak like that. Okay. But it doesn't work that way. Anyway, so, okay, yeah. All right, this is a good important point to describe. So, 12 years standing could not be equal to the devotee of 16 years standing. Yet equals really means equal-minded friends. Therefore, I didn't understand this particular sentence. Like something's wrong. Therefore, equals in devotional service on behalf of the spiritual master for friendship. Okay, therefore, it's equals in devotional service on behalf of the spiritual master. See, then now we've qualified it. Everybody is serving the spiritual master. Friends together serving the spiritual master. In that sense, then we're equal. Of course, no two individuals can be exactly equal in everything. Friendships are therefore give and take. That's even in the spiritual world, it's like that. A basis for the loving spiritual exchange between devotees is given by Srila Rupa Goswami in the next row of instruction, Upadeshamrita. There's 6 ways of showing love. Offering gifts in charity, receiving charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam and offering prasadam. Those are the 6 symptoms of love. This is in the Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction is just 11 verses. But after each verse, your Baba writes pages and pages and pages of purports in there. It's a very good book to have. Spiritual friendship is distinct from material friendship in that material friendship is based on sense gratification, whereas spiritual friendship is based on Krishna consciousness. Very important to remember that. Material friendship is based on sense gratification. We don't think that way. It's based on sense gratification, but everything we talk about really is about sense gratification and material relationship. Whereas spiritual friendship is based on Krishna consciousness. A person endeavoring for Krishna consciousness should not seek out a friend for any material reason. If we do that for material reason, then you're going to hear more of material things, and the spiritual activities is going to be put in the back burner. Because the person is only going to be talking about material things, because that's what's important to them. A devotee has nothing to gain from a rich man or political ally. Since we are no longer on the path of material progress, we should not be interested in bodily beauty, aristocratic birth, material wealth, or material education. All of our friendships should intensify devotional service. So we have to be greedy to grow in devotional service. In Bhakti Yoga, therefore, our friendships we stay more with those who are in Krishna consciousness, and a lot less with those who are not, unless it's necessary. You can't cut off your family members if they're not Krishna conscious. If your family, all of them are, lucky you. But not everybody has, family members, but you can't just cut them off like that, because you have to be a little more intelligent in dealing with them, okay? And at the same time, you don't just cut them off totally. Giving mercy to less advanced devotees. The most obvious kind of less advanced devotee is the newcomer. He does not know the Vaishnava philosophy well and is yet uncertain in his commitment. Older devotees should help such a neophyte in any way possible. So see, this is how you know the person is new. He doesn't know the do's and don'ts of Vaishnava philosophy, but they're definitely interested, so they start asking questions. And when they get the answers, they're kind of thinking, should I be with this movement or should I not? And then you know very well that they knew them. And there's a way in which you deal with this kind of people. And I remember Deva Amir Swami one time. This is the beginning of a lecture that was recorded, and I was listening to it. And I just started laughing so hard. It says it says a new person came in. The person is new. And he came to the temple. And devotees saw that he was there, and then they went to him, and boy, were they ready for him. He said, all right, these are the deities. This is God. You cannot do this, you can't do that, you can't do all this negative. The man ready to run away. It's too much one time. You gotta be tactful. And sometimes, and the important thing is, they may bring up some things that are important to them. This is so critical. They may bring up, and I had a chance to correct a few devotees who actually went wrong in this, some things that are important to them for